You know, a lot of people that listen to the show, I've talked about this before, and I talked to a gentleman this week who wanted to buy property, had some money in an IRA and a 401k. He wanted to buy investment property through those funds. He wanted a self-directed IRA. A lot of people don't know this is available, but if you have money in a retirement account and maybe it's not returning enough, or you know, or whatever, then obviously David Graham is probably going to do an awesome job for you. He was on the show earlier. But let's say you're someone who wants to go the real estate path with it. I'm sure he has companies that he recommends that can help manage the money. But you can buy investment property. You can buy rental property. Now, there's a lot of rules and regulations about it, right? You got to be really careful.
One of the major rules for the self-directed IRA is it must be managed by a third party, not self-managed. Otherwise, it won't qualify most of the time. So if you're thinking about doing that as an investor, you want to first get with the self-directed IRA people, find out what their rules are, and then get with Andrew Duncan and buy that property and get with us and have us manage it. And
because they're going to have to have someone to manage it. But part of the reason they do that is because they don't want you commingling. They don't want you giving personal time, energy, and money when it's bought through the IRA. Everything needs to be above board. The IRA needs to pay for everything. The IRA needs to collect all the rent. You at that point become not really involved. While you control the asset, it's yours. You can decide to sell it. You all those types of things. At that point, it's not yours anymore. It's the IRA's. And while the IRA is yours, it's different. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I can go and fix the roof myself. No, you can't.
Right.
You literally cannot do anything like that. It needs to operate as a completely separate entity, and you get the financial benefit of it, but you don't have the management control per se.
Correct.
And a lot of people don't realize that. And there's some fees and costs involved, but a lot of times people do it with the expectation that they can beat what the market is doing. They get some of the financial benefits of owning real estate. And there are a lot of benefits. There's a lot of people that should do it, and then there's a lot of people that shouldn't do it. So that's something we can help you qualify. But I think that there are a lot of great opportunities out there for people to do that, and take advantage of all the benefits of owning real estate, while also being cautious to not tie up capital. And again, if you need access to the money at some point, or then real estate probably isn't the right path. But a lot of people don't realize how strict they are about commingling. Like, you can't rent it to family. You can't give breaks. You have to get market rent. There's lots of things that you can't do when you own property in an IRA, and you got to title it the right way. We had one a couple years ago where the guy went out and bought it himself, and then wanted to deed it to his IRA, and it was a pain. He needed to get the name of the, it's a long name. It's going to be like Trust 401275 FBO. It's this really long name, but you have to get that from the IRA or 401k company up front and buy it through that and do the contract the right way, and then it's a lot easier to handle. But a lot of people don't do it that way. But the commingling one is the biggest mistake I think people make, and it can trigger all kinds of penalties, costs.
It can be a major taxable event if you don't do it properly.
Correct. Yeah. So really important to make sure that it's funny. I watch CNBC a lot with all the shows, and we advertise a lot on there with Barbara Corker from the Shark Tank. And there was a show on the other night about, and it kind of spooked me a little bit, but there was a show on the other night about a guy that was doing 1031 exchanges. He was a qualified intermediary, and he was buying companies, but he was doing a Ponzi scheme. He was doing a pump and dump. So he would basically take all of the new people's money, and he's out buying yachts and airplanes and all this kind of stuff. But it survived and thrived for a long time because he had enough new money coming in. And that's one of the things, if you're an investor and you're thinking about doing a 1031 exchange, that's something that's really, really important. Make sure you know who your qualified intermediary is, know how long they've been owned, do your research. All these types of companies that you're letting control your money, you have to do some research on. And we obviously don't recommend companies that we haven't done our own research on, but it's still, if you're doing 1031 exchanges, companies go out of business. That money can go away. People have lost millions of dollars from that kind of stuff. And it was demoralizing to watch people had millions of dollars with these folks, and he's out buying jets. And the guy ended up, I don't remember his name, but he's in prison for 300 and something years. He's in prison for the rest of his life. But something to be really cautious about when you're dealing with that amount of money. Make sure you know who you're going in business with. Do some research. Google around. There's rating agencies. There's lots of things that regulate that stuff as well. We're going to be back after a quick break, continue our conversation, and wrap up the show with our last segment here on the Duncan Duo Show.